Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Hello everyone, I'm Melina Suriel and you're watching the only news show dedicated to Mamaroneck, Larchmont, and Rhinebeck. It's The Local Live. Here with me tonight is Kyle Byrne, and I'd like to congratulate him since tonight is his first time anchoring our show.
Thanks, Alina, and welcome everyone to the 27th edition of The Local Live. I am so excited to be here. And The Local Live would like to give a huge shout out to our regular volunteer, Andre Gordon, from graduating from the Mead School. Andre has volunteered for The Local Live since our first edition. Congrats, Andre. Now, let's see what we have in store for you tonight.
In our roundtable tonight, Maura Carlin speaks with Town and Mamaroneck Youth Officer, Detective Bob Reynolds, about his years of experience in our community and keeping our youth safe. Join the conversation by calling in by email or by tweet.
But first, here's a preview of tonight's upcoming stories. Happening now, Westchester County Health Department is advising some residents of our community to start boiling their water.
Find out who are the new candidates running for the Village of Mamaroneck Board of Trustees.
And MHS students are rewarded. Stay tuned to find out why.
Later on, Anthony Carlo will bring us this week's LMC TV Varsity Sports Highlights. Find out which store Ashley Ballone chose in this week's In the Spotlight.
This adorable kitty named Zoe is looking for an owner to snuggle with. Help her find a place to call home.
This just in, the Westchester County Health Department has issued a boil water advisory for certain streets in the Rhinebeck section. Brook, Linden, Orchard, Pine, and Walnut Streets, as well as Beach and Tompkins Avenue, are affected. Until further notice, residents are advised to boil all tap water to a rolling boil for a minimum of 1 minute before drinking, preparing food, hand washing dishes, or brushing teeth. Call 914-813-5000 for further information.
Republican Michael Iniello, current chairman of the Village of Mamaroneck's Planning Board, and Democrat Stephanie Lividini, member of the Volunteer Budget Committee, are the Republican Party nominees for the Board of Trustees. According to the Mamaroneck Review, the two will face off against the three Democratic trustee candidates in November, incumbents Alyssa Miller and Leon Potok, and newly selected candidate David Finch. Republicans Iniello and Lividini were chosen by an interview committee led by Chair of the Village of Mamaroneck's Republican Party, Marianne Genovese. Mayor Norman Rosenblum reached out to incumbent Democratic trustee Andres Bermudez Hallstrom, who wasn't nominated by his party, about the possibility of running on the Republican ticket. Hallstrom declined, saying he remains a committed Democrat. The community will place their votes on November 4th. According to the Mamaroneck Review on the June 13th edition, a third Republican candidate, Maggie Leigh O'Neill, will be joining Iniello and Lividini in the village trustee contest.
At the Mamaroneck Larchmont Student Aid Fund Annual Awards Program Monday evening, a host of college scholarships were presented to Mamaroneck High School seniors.
We're here tonight during the season of pomp and circumstance at Mamaroneck High School Student Aid Fund Award Ceremony. Nancy Winkelstein, president of Mamaroneck Larchmont Student Aid Fund, credits more than 500 community members with contributing funds for need-based scholarships.
Because of their generosity, this year 47 MHS students, over half of whom are the first in their family to attend college, will have less of a load to carry as they embark on what is perhaps the most critical component of their young adulthood. They will need to take out smaller loans, and they will have to work fewer hours at on or off-campus jobs. Students, as you head off to college, please remember how valuable you are to our community. We believe in you. That's what these scholarships are really all about.
Speakers presented two newly named endowed scholarships in memory of two beloved teachers.
I was married to Harvey Ann for 41 years. She was married to Mamaroneck High School for 40 years as an English teacher from 1968 to 2007.
We are all thrilled to see the continued inspiration for learning that comes from Deanna Kessler's amazing and beautifully lived life.
In all, 47 students received Student Aid Fund 2-year scholarships in amounts ranging from $1,000 to several $1,000s a year.
It's been absolutely tremendous. I was just informed this week that I got off the wait list into Oberlin College, where I've really wanted to go, and this scholarship is going to go a long way towards helping me afford it and helping me succeed there, and I'm really thankful.
That's excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I understand that you had some involvement in this young man's award.
Yes. My family contributed to fund the scholarship which has been awarded to this young man tonight, Barbara Guarini. It's in memory of her, and I'm thrilled to find out that you're going to be the one who receives the award in my sister-in-law's memory.
Matt Nitzberg funded a scholarship with a few others in memory of an MHS classmate.
The scholarship is named for David Skye Rosenberg, a 1976 Mamaroneck High School graduate. David was a great friend, great athlete, great student.
When you see a student receive this award, I understand you've given this out in years past as well. What kind of emotions and feelings does that bring up for you?
Well, it's a wonderful feeling. This year in 2014 is the third year that the scholarship has been in place, so I've had an opportunity to get to know each of the three recipients. Each of them have a terrific resume, deserve every chance of success and support, and it's exciting to see their gratitude and even more exciting to see their ambition. They're going places, and we're happy to help them to get there.
Nancy, so could you tell us, how did you feel it all went tonight and the culmination of this past year?
We've been thrilled this year. The community really stepped up and, gives happily and generously to help out with these students. I mean, we have in our community many, many families where college education is very difficult for them. And for us to be able to provide 47 students with as much help as we can is great. I mean, the amounts that we give can sometimes make a huge difference in their student being able to go to school at all.
The goal of sending our students on to college is just the most important thing we can do for the young people in our community. And the fact that this organization is going on almost its 80th year is a real testament to what a caring community we're part of.
This is Rebecca Berman for the Local Live.
To contribute to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Student Aid Fund, or for information about establishing a name scholarship in someone's honor or memory, go to www.mlsaf.org.
Here's Mike Witch with a summary of the local news in the media. Let's take a look.
The Mamaroneck School District is surveying residents, asking where you get your school news, what type of school activities you might have attended, and if you think you get enough information about the school budget. The patch quotes local officials saying it'll take about 10 minutes or less. There's a link to the survey on the school's website, which is mamkschools.org. Have you heard about the STEM Alliance? The acronym stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. They're the folks that organized STEMtastic last month that drew 2,000 people to the Homics. An announcement in the Hamlet Hub this week suggests that you might want to get involved if you've got a child interested in these areas or you yourself work in a related field. The Alliance met this week at the Ore Cafe. For more information, contact Margaret Koifer, and her email is mkaufer@lmstemalliance.org. From the Mamaroneck Review, news that Save the Sound now has an office in the village of Mamaroneck, as well as a new director, Tracy Brown. She'll keep an eye on the western stretch of the Sound. SOS is a bi-state advocacy organization that works to protect and restore the entire Sound. Since 1972, it's worked to restore natural habitats, clean up the beaches, and protect coastal and river water. Its main office is in New Haven, Connecticut. And the expansion into Westchester, well, it's significant since the lower sound is the most polluted and contaminated. Says the new director, quote, Westchester is like the sick patient in the emergency room who needs triage. You can read the full story in the Mamaroneck Review. And finally, how about a cruise on Long Island Sound? Wonderful. And you can do it on July 24th aboard the Island Belle, courtesy of the Mamaroneck Chamber of Commerce. Dine and dance under the stars. Tickets are $100 and they can be ordered from the Chamber. For more information, call them at 914-698-4400 or send email to chamber10543@optonline.net. Well, those are just some of the few local stories that I found interesting this week in the media. I'm Michael Witch.
Hello Mamaroneck, I'm Carly Rose and you are watching The Local Live.
Thank you for joining the Local Live Roundtable. I'm Maura Carlin. With me is our social media co-host, Rebecca Berman. This evening, the Local Live talks kids and summer with the town of Mamaroneck's youth officer, Detective Bob Reynolds, who after 38 years of service is set to retire next month.
We invite you to ask questions by phone, email, or tweet. Call into the show at 914-381-0150, email thelocallive@lmc-tv.org, or tweet at The Local Live. That information also will be on the screen during the conversation Maura, who's having today with our guest.
Okay, Detective Reynolds has been a fixture in the community for nearly 40 years, forging relationships with kids and adults and the schools. Now, this is the season of proms and graduations, with school about to let out for summer, so there's more free time and less structure. We're going to find out how everyone stays safe and responsible. Detective Reynolds, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And you've been around for quite a while.
I sure have.
Is it a case of the more things change, the more things remain the same? You know, what's been the biggest change in these last 40 years?
I think the stress factor is bigger. I think the social media issue is enormous. I think those are the biggest changes. Not just social media, but media itself. I don't mean this media, media of cell phones and easy contact with everyone. That's changed primarily the most.
And putting your whole life on display for everyone.
Totally, yeah.
Yes, that is different. In terms of what we think of as kid issues, drugs and alcohol, is it any different than it was 40 years ago?
I think it's bigger today than it was, for sure, 40 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Alcohol is bigger. Marijuana is bigger.
What about other drugs?
Fortunately, in Mamaroneck, they've done some studies the last several years. Alcohol and weed, marijuana, is at a higher rate than the average. That's the bad news. The good news is the lower rate of the bad drugs, if you will, heroin, ecstasy, are way lower than the national average. So that's a good thing.
And one of the things that we all keep reading about is, you know, this big heroin epidemic, the growing heroin problem. Do we have that in this community?
No. We have an epidemic of alcohol, weed, prescription drugs is big, but fortunately right now heroin has not really come into the community.
On the prescription drugs, since you raised that, are we talking about people for whom it was prescribed abusing it, or people for whom it wasn't prescribed taking it?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
The kids are really doing that?
Yes, yeah.
What kinds of drugs are we talking about?
Valium, Xanax, those type of drugs, Percocet.
Okay, so the painkiller.
Yeah. Relaxation, a little bit of both.
So when you're watching TV and you see the PSA where they say, you know, make sure you know what drugs are in your cabinet, kids are going in, they really are talking about real life situations.
Absolutely, they're focusing just on that. And you see the mirror where the dad or the mom will go in taking something, but it's really the child that's taking something. So they're trying to focus on the family because It's happening.
So what should a family do? Do we lock up our medications?
Watch it. Make sure it's not being depleted as you're looking at it. Make sure that you count it periodically. And if you suspect something, say something to your child or to whomever that's in the house. Contact one of the youth officers. Will help you for sure.
Okay.
We don't have to. We're not looking to arrest anybody. We're looking to help the child out and the family out. So hopefully they can come forward and we can tell them they can go to the community counseling center.
Try to stop it early.
Yeah, what programs that they can get help with.
What about the classic ADHD drugs?
Yeah, that's another problem.
Is it really a problem? Are kids selling their medications?
Yes, yes. OxyContin, they're selling that,
Well,
which is why there's a lot of
that's more
heroin.
of a painkiller, though,
Right.
isn't it? Right?
Yes.
Are they selling their Adderall, their Ritalin,
Yes,
Concerta?
yes, yeah.
I do have a question that has come in, which I think is an interesting topic just in today in general. Do you think marijuana should be legalized?
That's a good question. There's a lot of pros and cons to it. Yes, it's helpful to some people who have chemotherapy and have some diseases that for pain release. Yes, there's also a new form of digestive problems that now are coming with marijuana. Kids are throwing up, getting sick. That's been an issue. So there's a lot of pros and cons, and I wish I was more of an expert to make an evaluation, and I'm not.
Well, do you think that if it is legalized for medicinal purposes, that it will end up being abused by those who don't have the prescription for medicinal purposes?
If they regulate it properly, I think it should be. Yes, I think that would be fine.
So you're good on the
I'm totally.
Okay.
But just to get a doctor's note that you need a prescription for that, I think that's a little bit
Slippery
of a stretch.
slope.
Yeah, very slippery.
Okay.
Yeah, because what are they doing after they smoke the weed? Now they're going to drive. Same thing with alcohol.
Well, actually, I wanted to get to the alcohol.
We can use that same analogy where when there was prohibition and now everybody can drink, were people drinking and driving? Now they're going to drive high. I mean, that's a concern.
Well, let's go to the drinking and driving, or driving under the influence. Start with the kids. You know, they all talk about, and maybe they talk a good game, about having a designated driver. Do they take it as seriously as some of us parents think they do?
They do. They're really, and it's great to see. I don't like to see them drinking, but there is a designated driver, and that's huge, because that's saving a lot of lives. A lot of lives, a lot of injuries. So they do take it very seriously.
And they draw that line, like, if you're driving, you do not drink at all. It's not a judgment of...
No. If you're the designated driver, you're not drinking. They're great at that.
Okay, so...
And they're taking it very seriously, and I love it.
So wouldn't it be the same with marijuana?
Could do the same, sure, absolutely.
But at some point, since there are DUIs, that must change. At what age do they start not having a designated driver?
I don't know what the statistics show, but my guess would be when they get into the mid-20s, things change.
Do they think they can handle it?
Yeah, because they've been drinking so long. I'm good.
But even if they're not, like, I feel like the generation I was from, it wasn't so much like that, and there weren't, steadfast, like, teenage laws about, that people really felt that way. So are the kids today and the generation today being raised to really feel that way, and does that go then into adulthood as far as, having a designated driver? Sounds like you're not.
No, I think that's true, because when I came on the police force, if you saw a drunk driver, you would just take the keys and maybe take him home. Now, he's under arrest, and rightfully so. He or she is under arrest. So the mentality, society, the tolerance has all changed, and that's a good change for sure. The tolerance level. I've been on too many accidents. I've seen a lot of bad things from that.
What do you think about a drinking age being 18 instead of 21? I mean, we talked a little about, you know, you can go fight in a war and you can get married, but you can't drink at your own wedding.
You can clearly make that argument. However, statistics do show that alcohol deaths, injuries are down because they raised the rate to 21.
Is it because of that or because they have designated drivers?
Hand in hand.
Could be both.
Right?
Right.
Could be both.
Right. Now, I guess in some degree you don't care which it is as long as...
No, just going to say that. It doesn't matter as long as something is working.
Right.
But you can make that argument.
What about many of us who live in the community? We know where the kids are partying. And you would think that there would be people stationed there to stop it. Why isn't that the case?
Well, many times we know where kids are drinking, but because of logistics of being busy and we just don't have the manpower because we're going on 40 different accidents and burglar alarms, things like that, we just don't have the time. When we do have the time and we do get someone, not a lot of people, we don't put it in the press, we don't let people know that we picked up 6 kids. They give me, patrol will give me the information, and I follow it up with their parents.
So we're not going to read it in the police blotters, but it does happen.
No, it totally happens, yeah.
Now, what are the parents' responsibilities with parties? And we all know, and I'm going to put it out there, that not all parties are sanctioned by the parents.
But a lot are.
Well, let's talk about that. Is it okay to have a party?
Absolutely.
Okay. Where does it become? And you say to your kids, no alcohol.
Right. That's the challenge.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I assume that if the parent's providing alcohol, that's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
Okay, so
because that's an arrestable offense.
Correct. So we'll take that off the table. But you know, parent says, okay, you can have some friends over, but no alcohol, no drugs.
Okay. So that's the challenge. So many parents have called me and asked me about that. Okay, so I'm having a party Friday night. What do I do? And I tell them to get as many chaperones as you can. Watch people coming in. Don't let anybody near your house with a backpack in because he or she's going to have alcohol in it for the most part. Make sure you check your front yard and your backyard because some of the kids have or will hide alcohol there before they get there. Some of the kids will drink before they get there, so they're going to be intoxicated when they arrive.
And do you let them in?
No, no. And here's what you need to do. You need to either, one, call the police or an ambulance if they're highly intoxicated because we need to get them to the hospital. Or you need to call a parent to let the parent. Do not let them walk home because if they fall, stumble, now that could be an issue and a severe health issue.
And so these parents that have called you while you've done this career, did they end up, after you say all that to them, are they like, never mind, I'm not having it?
Oh.
They still go ahead and have
Absolutely, yeah. You know what, I think I'll pass this time.
And what about parent happens to be out for the evening and all of a sudden there's a party?
Well, generally what happens is someone decides to have a party and then they invite 2 kids. 4 kids. Now social media takes over and they text, they put it on Facebook, come on over at 8. And instead of those 4 to 8 kids coming over, now there's 200 kids coming in.
Right.
That's a huge problem. Some of them are intoxicated, some of them are in possession of alcohol. Now the neighbor...
There's no adult there.
There's no adult there. Now the neighbor calls the police. Police come in, myself included. 200 kids will scatter, will jump out of the window because they don't want to get caught. That's a dangerous situation, though.
Right.
We don't run after them because we don't want to get hurt, but we don't want to hurt them. So it's a very dangerous, slippery, very slippery slope. We'll get some names. We'll try to find out what happened. We'll obviously call the parent. The parent is either mortified or beyond angry, which is not a good thing either. So
So how do you prevent it as a parent?
Don't go out.
Right. You're chained to your house.
Don't go out.
That was good.
Have a neighbor watch. If you say you're going to go out between 7 and 9 for dinner with your other siblings or with your wife or your husband, all of a sudden come home at 7:30. Oh, I forgot something. Have someone come in the house. Make it so that I'm not sure who's coming home at what time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you know your parent is going to come home at 10, between 7 and 10, if they don't come home for any length of time, you know they're not coming home. So you could pretty much do anything you want for 3 hours. But if you're not sure they're going to come home at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Right.
Then maybe
That
you'll pass
checking
on that.
in.
Yeah, that's huge.
Which means stay local.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if this happens in your community, but we found, very neatly packed, I might add, a box filled with cans and bottles of beer on our steps. Now, it was not our families because there was no one in my house around.
Right. They went to the wrong house.
Well, it was empty. These were empties. Do kids just pack them up and drop them at some local house?
Generally, no. They'll just throw them.
Okay.
To be honest, which is
Some
not
of
a
them
good
are very
thing.
neat. I've
Yeah.
seen,
Which,
you
that
know.
is a good
I
thing
haven't
because
seen that
it's-
more. I have not
it's good
witnessed
recycling,
that.
Yes, they've got their red cups
Right.
all organized.
That's perfect. But they do both.
And do kids still think their parents were born yesterday?
Oh, absolutely. And some of them were.
Oh, is that right?
And that's not a good thing.
Let's get off the kids for 1 second. And one of the things I keep hearing about are parents showing up to pick up kids at school who are under the influence. Is that really a problem?
It's not a problem. Does it happen? Occasionally, yes, it does. Yes. The school may hear of it. They may contact the parent. They may contact me. I may contact the parent. And again, we're contacting the parent to help the parent. Not to say, listen, you can get arrested for this. And you can, but what can we do to help you here? Is there something going on that you need help with so that we can help you as opposed to locking you up?
And do you find that parents are receptive to that?
Generally, no.
Okay. Right. Because where I was going with was, when do families call the police on their own families? And I would think that's so difficult, and I can't imagine anyone wanting to do that.
I'm sure it is, and fortunately I've never had that experience. However, I've been on the receiving end of it many, many times, and very often, if the child is out of control, where he or she doesn't come home when they're supposed to, they're staying out till very late, they're not doing homework, they're not going to school, they can get a petition called a PINS petition through family court. I lead them the way. I walk them through it. Sometimes I'll take them up to family court and do it. I'm not supposed to, but it's just another helping hand and another resource to.
And what does this do?
It mandates a child that he or she will be home at 10, 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night. It mandates that the child will go to school. If the child violates that petition, then the mom or dad will call. We take the child to court. Then the judge will then mandate what the child has to do. For example, they'll take the child and then put them in counseling. They may put them in more counseling. They may have to go see a psychiatrist, a psychologist. So they try to help the family environment to make things better.
And are these records sealed?
Oh, yes. Good, it's a great point. It's once the child becomes 16, records are expunged. There's no records. All my records are same thing. 16 get shredded.
Okay. It seems to me like that perhaps absolves the parent of liability for truancy or for other things.
Yeah.
But is a kid really going to follow a petition? I mean, maybe once the judge is involved.
Yes. It's interesting once the judge becomes involved, and he stands before the judge in a court. That's a huge reality check right there.
Yes.
And the kids usually adhere to what the judge is saying because the judges don't mess around there. Judge and family court are great. They're fantastic. They do a lot just to help the child out. So it's not criminal court where it's completely different.
So apart from these extreme situations, when are times when parents should call for help?
If they're concerned, if they have a question, and we'll help them with a question, we'll help them with their concerns.
Well, one of the things I could see someone not wanting to call, like, well, I think my kid wants to have a party Friday night, but I'm calling you, and now you're on notice that there may be a party at my house, and you're going to be parked out and checking up, and I could see that someone not wanting to do that.
I get that, but to have a party is a great thing because now the kids can go congregate there. But to have alcohol in it as a parent is not a good thing because if a child leaves the house intoxicated, guess who gets sued? The parent. Right. If you're serving alcohol, parent gets arrested. So it's a huge challenge for parents to have a party, but it's a good thing to have a party. So I'm not going to sit in front of their home. If they need help, we're there. But I'm not going to watch either because sometimes I'm not going to have time. Right. Other times I may just drive by the house, make sure everything looks okay. I may do that.
Okay. How do you get into kids' heads that they should seek help? And we have people prom season, and kids are going up to prom houses, and you don't know what's going to happen. And I always think back to that incident in Harrison. Right. For those who don't know, there was a house party. Nobody knew. Kids were drinking. Someone hit his head on concrete and died because no one called the police or called for help. How do you ingrain in them, do the right thing, get the help?
I think a lot of the kids have heard that particular story. And years ago, during that era, none of the kids would call. They would leave an intoxicated person totally out of it by himself or herself. Go home, it's okay, go sleep it off. Well, no, that's not what we're saying. You will not get into trouble if you call the police because your friend is intoxicated. You will not.
Even if there's alcohol at the house?
Even if there's alcohol at the house. We want you to call to make sure that child is safe. And we've maintained that, and so far, knock on wood, it's been a helpful.
Do you get that message through the school? Like, the kids really do know that?
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to ask you one more question because I hear this all the time. Are they not allowed to drive with unopened alcohol in their car below a certain age?
They can't drive with alcohol in the car if they're under 21,
so,
whether it's open or not.
So,
that's 2 violations. If it's open, that's a violation.
Well, that's okay, but no one can drive with open alcohol.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. If you're 19 years old and you have a 6-pack on the front seat.
Okay, but I've gone food shopping. I bought beer and wine, and I didn't unload it from the car, and my kid takes the car. It's the same problem?
No, seriously, I mean, has that really happened?
It's heavy, right?
He has a problem.
It is, okay.
Wow, that was a really good question. We might have time for one last question that we just received. This person says they keep hearing stories about young people, friends of friends, committing suicide, and restrictions come pushed to extreme behaviors, drug addiction, overdose. What is your opinion on those types of situations?
Those are very, very serious issues, very serious problem that the family faces. They need professional help. If we encounter someone like that, we go to the professionals, we take them to the professionals. There's no way that a family should be left alone with someone like that. There's a suicide chapter in Westchester County, prevention suicide, that's fantastic.
We are unfortunately already out of time. A big thank you to Town of Mamaroneck Youth Officer, Detective Bob Reynolds, for joining us here at the Local Live.
Remember that if you have any ideas for a future roundtable discussion, you can write us at thelocallive@lmctv.org or tweet us at thelocallive. We love hearing from you.
Thanks for joining our roundtable.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more community stories.
Hi, I'm Judge Christy Derrico. Watch The Local Live Thursdays at 7:30 on LMC TV. That's in order.
Hi, I'm State Senator George Latimer, and I encourage you to watch every week The Local Live. I was going to say something like, I live in Rye, but if I lived in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, I would watch The Local Live every week. I just remind. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony Carlo with your local live sports report. The Rhinebeck Panthers baseball team took the field against the Livonia Bulldogs this past weekend for the New York State Class B semifinals. Rhinebeck's all-senior team, whose incredible pitching staff never allowed more than 3 runs in a regular season game, was on fire. They were hungry, and it was showed in their first trip to the New York Final Four since 1993. We're going to take you out to Varsity Field where the Livonia Bulldogs took on the Rhinebeck Panthers in the New York State Public High School Athletic Association baseball semifinals. Ryan Aquino was on the hill for Rhinebeck and will pick it up in the top of the first. Aquino getting some help from his catcher, Thomas Popolo, who guns down Matt Akam, trying to steal second to end the inning. Take another look at that throw. Woo, what an arm. Towing the rubber for the Bulldogs was Zach Kolodziejski, and he gets into some trouble in the bottom of the second as he walks Tyler Spinelli with the bases loaded to force in a run, 1-0 Panthers. With a run to work with, Ryan Aquino is just dealing. He finished with 11 strikeouts on the day and his one-hit shutout complete game. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th. Panthers first baseman Matt Franks drills one deep to center field. That one rolls all the way to the wall for a 2-run double, and the big clutch hit creates some breathing room, 3-0 Rhinebeck. Look at the extension he gets on this baby. Later on in the inning, Rhinebeck looking for more. Angelo Spadafino dunks one in, and then a wild throw into the dugout allows another run to score. 5-0 Panthers. And from there, the Panthers kept piling on. Aquino at the plate, and he'll help himself out, slashing one through the left side for an RBI single. 6-0 Panthers. 4 batters later, Popolo at the plate, and he smacks one to left for the RBI base knock. Panthers go on to win this one 8-0 and advance to the final where they'd lose to Chalmont 3-1. Even though the Panthers were not able to keep the momentum going into the finals, they certainly went the distance this season and can be congratulated for a job well done. Make sure to tune in this fall as I will be bringing you all of your sports highlights. For the Local Live Sports Report, I'm Anthony Carlo.
You guys, you're watching the Local Live. Stay tuned.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I love your outfit.
I love your outfit.
Thank you.
We're on the Local Live here at the Westchester Tattoo Convention. And you are?
I'm Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. This is Jerry here reporting live from the Local Live.
Decoration Day is a local store currently undergoing renovation. But in the midst of these upgrades, they are still able to provide helpful tips on how to create a trendy summer home. Ashley Ballone has the story.
Right now we are here in front of Decoration Day in Larchmont. After 20 years, the owners have decided to renovate the store. We're going to go inside and check it out. Before Susan had Decoration Day, she worked here with the previous owners making flowers. When they were ready to sell, Susan and her husband Jim bought the space in 1986 and have made it into a home decor store.
It was a much more of an antique-oriented store, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to carry that amount of antiques.
Susan and her husband recently decided to improve the store. After a month of renovation, Decoration Day is filled with new colors, more space, and offers new furniture.
We were hoping to have a new look to the store that would draw, the younger people to stay in town instead of having to go up to Lily and August in Norwalk or ABC in the city.
With summer approaching, we asked what the summer must-haves are and which colors are in this season.
Let's see, well, it's always nice to have some new dishes to put on the table when you're having company that just kind of say summer. So this Lucy bowl is one of our favorites for this summer with the little octopus, and then it has the crab claws and lobster claws, and all in the blue and white, so it's very shore-like and nautical. Hurricanes up on this wall are all great. Hot colors, you know, hot pink is really in the summer. Oranges, turquoise, lime green, that citron green is fun. If you do have something that's tan and, you know, khaki kind of coloring, then just bring in the bright orange and the navy, or even the hot pink looks great with it. So it just gives it a new twist.
So there you have it. Decoration Day is ready for the summer. Here with the Local Live, I am Ashley Balone signing off.
Who's going to win the World Cup? This question is currently circulating the minds of all soccer fans. This week, Siobhan Flattery hit the streets of Mamaroneck to find out which team will win the World Cup. Let's watch the tape.
The World Cup is in full swings and fans couldn't be happier. With 32 teams competing to be this year's 2014 World Cup champions, the competition is fierce. While it's too soon to call who will be the champions this year, we asked locals who they were rooting for.
France, because they haven't won in 06 and they tried really hard. It was unfortunate, and because of the 010 accident, now the entire world is thinking of France as a unsportsmanship team when they really were a really good team before. And now they're new players, they really are going to do good, and they've showed good form. So I think France has a good shot.
I am rooting for USA because I was really happy last night that USA substitute scored a goal in the last 29 seconds in World Cup history.
And I'm rooting for the U.S. because they're an exciting team to watch, like yesterday when they defeated Ghana.
Well, that about wraps things up. Reporting for the Local Live, I'm Siobhan Flattery.
Zoe is an adorable Russian blue mix, about a year old. She is loving, affectionate, and has a beautiful silky coat. She loves to be held and will gladly snuggle up in your arms. Her soft eyes show her gentle nature because Zoe will make a wonderful companion. She is up to date on shots, spayed, and microchipped. To adopt Zoe, please contact Pet Rescue at petrescuenewyork@aol.com or call 914-834-6955.
Stay tuned. The Local Live will be right back.
Well, that about wraps it up for this edition of The Local Live. Please join us again next week.
Wow, Kyle, you did great. It didn't seem like it was your first time anchoring at all.
Thanks, Lena. I tried so hard to contain my nerves, but anyway, hosting for the first time, I'm Kyle Byrne.
And I'm Lena Suriel. We'll see you here next time at The Local Live.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.